welcome back. It's great to see you. Uh, Question: have you ever been ill prepared for something? I know I have. And if I can prevent you from, being ill prepared, that's what I want to be able to do. So, what I want to do is offer you tips and suggestions on how to do things better when it comes to traveling and hotel. So, you know what? Let's get to it and cue the music. All right, first tip: call your bank. Some people do not want to do this for some reason, but I'm telling you, call your bank before you go to travel or go anywhere. Let them know specifically what city, state, even country that you're going to be in, so that way they're aware. Because a lot of times banks, because they want to keep you safe and they want to keep themselves safe, will block something if they think it's fraud. And a lot of times there's a lot of fraud in hotel and so you just want to make sure that everything is uh, well known. Let's just say that, because banks will stop it. They want to make sure that you're fine. Uh, Typically, it's easy to call them and get it fixed, but if you don't want to go through hassle or feel even uncomfortable about a card declining, it's best to give them a call because they don't know where you're going to be at all times. And this is even if you travel a lot. Make sure you call them and just let them know periodically, hey, I'm going to be in this city. I'm going to be in this state. I'm going to be in this country. Trust me, you'll be so glad you did because hotels are not going to just allow you to be able to check in without some sort of form of payment. And all the begging and pleading is not going to help. And so you want to do it beforehand because, also, some credit cards, even when you call them, they may take a certain period of time before they'll be able to release funds to you each time. The next thing, too, is to make sure that you know what your limit is for the day and that you monitor that. Because a lot of times it can be a certain limit won't be allowed on your card, and you come to the hotel and you swipe the card and it'll decline. Sometimes if you call the bank, if you let them know where you're going to be at and how much you're going to need authorized, they may allow a temporary release of those exact funds at that particular time. But you want to call in advance. Just make sure, because what you don't want to have happen is you go to the front desk and get your feelings hurt. I promise you, it's not a fun time. It's uncomfortable. And especially when you're trying to have a great time, plans can get halted at that point. So just trust me on this. Call your bank. Even if you have a great relationship with them, call them. Just let them know where you're going to be at. That can also help with your own security concerns too as well. So thanks. One of the biggest tips I can give you is that when preparing for a reservation, to call the hotel in advance and let them know who's going to be on the reservation. That way, if someone decides that they're going to come in earlier than you come in, that they can still check in. And then also during the trip, that if you guys get separated or one person comes in and misplaces their key or the key doesn't work, that they can show their ID and verify that they are a guest in that room. So it's very important. So if you have the opportunity and you do have family or friends going to be traveling with you, please call in advance. That way it makes everything so much smooth. And in that way, you also empower yourself to control your reservation and your experience. This is what I like to call an oldie but a goodie. When you come to the hotel, please bring your confirmation email. A lot of times, the front desk agent is going to be able to look you up from your last name and your first name. But sometimes there's different variables that cause us not to be able to have your reservation or to be able to verify a little bit better where your reservation is at. Now, with the capability of having iPads, laptops, and cell phones, you can keep your confirmation email on your phone. But always keep it handy. And the reason why I say keep your confirmation email, you may have written down your confirmation number, but we may need proof that you made the reservation. And not saying that you wouldn't be telling the truth, but we got to make sure we verify that it was one of our official emails that was sent. So that way it just verifies everything. A lot of times we're able to look at the confirmation number, pull it up right off the back. And so it's just very important. Keep it on your phone. You won't even have to bring any extra paperwork because you're already going to bring your phone. And that way it'll make your experience that much smoother if for some reason we're not able to see your reservation immediately. Now, this is a great tip, and it's something that I've been trying to let people know that are reoccurring travelers. But now, being that I also have people that might be first-time travelers, bring 2 forms of ID. It's very important. Just the other day, I had a young lady that came to the front desk, and she was very anxious because she couldn't find her photo ID. She wanted me to check her in, but of course, I can't. If I don't have a photo ID, I can't protect the reservation or protect the person that's supposed to be coming to check in. But what I recommended to her after the situation, because she finally did find her photo ID, is to bring 2 forms of ID. Now, you always want to try to keep like a national ID, if not a state ID, with you. And that includes like having your driver's license, maybe a state identification card, maybe even like a trade license type ID would even work, especially when you're going to the airport. And that was part of the story, is that she was at the airport, she was kind of being rushed, so she pulled out her ID and then didn't put it back in the organized spot that she would typically have put it in. And then what happened was when she got to the hotel, that she wasn't able to find it because she couldn't remember, because she was kind of flustered from the whole event. So that's why it's always important to bring more than one. You can even bring like a passport and a passport ID, but just something that verifies who you are with a picture or photo ID. And I'm telling you, it will help out so much, because when she was able to relax and she went through her thing, she was able to find her photo ID. So just in case, in that meantime, you want to make sure that you have a secondary ID that you can go to that's going to help you to get in. And then later on, you can kind of look for whatever ID, because even if you lost it and the hotel finds an alternative in order to check in, if you have a flight, you're still going to need that ID in order to get back on a flight. And that's a whole nother ordeal within itself. So I hope this helps out any future experiences you may have. Oh, I'm so glad I get to talk about this subject, incidentals. This is one of the things that people have the most questions about, and I want to be able to explain as much as I can. Incidentals is a security deposit that is taken by the hotel. It is important because it's used for multiple different things, but typically it's so if you want to party like a rock star and cause some damage, that they can account for that. But also, what I would say is that if you were All right. right. And last but not least, one of the biggest tips I'll ever give to anybody, and I invite this tip because a lot of times people are hesitant on calling the hotel in advance, but when in doubt, call the hotel. Call the hotel. Don't call Central Reservations. Don't call the third-party reservation services on the website. Call the hotel. They're going to have an intimate knowledge of the hotel. And so when you have questions about your reservation, about how many days, things, anything that you need to do to indicate like what amenities the hotel has, what's going on around the hotel is going to know more about that area than anybody else. And that way, once you confirm everything, get a name that you can refer back to. Maybe even if you want to, depending on how important the question is, ask to speak with a manager. But call the hotel. Nobody's going to really be mad about you calling the hotel because that's what we're here to do, is serve you. We're here to serve you in all aspects. We're also here to protect you. We're also here to inform you. All those things are in a way that help bring the hospitality experience to you and cater it to you. So please, 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 if you have any questions that may help in your overall experience, please call the hotel.